I just finished my first year of medical school.
How are you spending your summer?
I am doing oncology research remotely.
What is your favorite class or rotation?
My favorite class, my favorite was anatomy, just because we had the lab and I had never taken that class prior to medical school, so it was just really, really cool. Just going into the anatomy lab and seeing the muscles and the nerves and being able to recall what that was really, really interesting. So much so that it kind of makes me want to look into surgery. So my least favorite was neurology, neuroanatomy, because there was just so much going on. You had to know what nerve went into what foramen and the clinical manifestations. If something went wrong, where could it have gone wrong? There's usually like 6 different places it could go wrong, so it was just a lot, and for that I would name that my least favorite.
What does peace look like to you?
It's just me being content doing the things that I actually enjoy doing, like making videos and talking to my mentees and just furthering myself in where I see myself in the next couple of years.
Describe your year in one word.
Reset. There were a lot of complexities just because we're in a pandemic. Going to medical school in a pandemic is not what most people have had to do. So that was very much so an adjustment, but also moving to a whole nother state and having to find new friends and acclimate. It was like I pressed reset.
What was your yearly goal?
My yearly goal was to pass physiology. That class took literally everything out of me. It was just so academically challenging. I kid you not. But my yearly goal was to not have to remediate and take that class this summer. And I can say, sitting here now during the summer, I passed and I did not have to do that.
What is your intention for next year?
My intention for next year is to really pinpoint where I see myself and how I see myself practicing medicine in the future. In terms of choosing specialties that I like, there's a few that I have on the table right now, but then again, as they always say, the things you're interested in will most likely change from first day of medical school to the last day.
What was a highlight that you remember from this year in school?
A highlight that I remember was sometime in September or even October, beginning of October, where I was just sitting around, I was studying something I probably wasn't even trying to study at the time, but I was sitting around and I was like, wow, I'm literally doing what I set out to do last year. Like, it has all come to fruition, and that was very much so a highlight, because a lot of times you don't stop to smell the roses when you are in a beautiful garden, and that's what I would say my highlight was.
What was your lowest moment of the year?
I would say towards the end of this spring semester, there were just a lot of things that were happening. We were switching over classes. We had always been on a block schedule, but it just seemed different now. Like, I don't know, it just felt different, and I don't know, I switched up doing a lot of the things that I used to do. Like, my study habits changed. A lot of things changed, and it was just interesting trying to navigate that whole entire thing.
But you had a genie in a bottle and you could have one wish. What would that be?
I would say, for the moment, to just remain content with where I am right now, what I've been doing, the memories I've been making, just to remain content, because it's very easy to get lost in all this medical school stuff and studying and worrying about your future. But if you can remain content in the present tense, it'll be all right.
What's your favorite pastime?
I like to cook. Cooking is something that I have always done and I really enjoy doing. Yesterday I tried to make scalloped potatoes and steak, and it actually came out really good. I even added a red wine reduction.
So So there's this thing called imposter moments that some med students have. Did you have an imposter moment, and what was it like?
Honestly, recently, I had an imposter moment. It was during orientation for the research I'm doing this summer, and they were telling us about how over 300 people applied, and like, you guys made it, and you know, it's not for nothing that you guys made it, you guys were selectively picked. And I was like, really? That's interesting. I was just like very, very, I don't know, I just didn't, I don't know how to say this. I don't know, I just didn't know how to feel in the moment, because there was only, well, there is only 10 of us medical students right now, and I was the only DO student chosen, so I don't know.
Wow.
I guess I still don't even know how I feel about it.
When was the last time you cried?
I actually did not cry this whole entire year. I did not cry. Honestly, thank God. I didn't have anything really to cry about. I mean, times did get tough, you know, just not wanting to study and maybe sometimes not getting the grades that you wanted, but I don't think it was worth crying over.
Regrets?
Honestly, I wish that I started out more like I ended school. Just doing what I need to do, being in my own space, doing what I need to do. I kind of threw myself into making videos and just organizing how I wanted my summer to be and things like that, and it kept me busy, which is good, because in a way you can be doing so much stuff but still be bored, and I was doing so much stuff and I wasn't bored, if that makes sense.
Have you experienced any burnout in the past year?
100%. I was so burnt out during neurology, like I said. There was just so many little details that I was like, this is never ending, oh my gosh, and we're gonna have to revisit this again next year. And at some points I would just not study. I remember we had an exam on Monday and I started studying for the exam that Sunday. I was very done, very done. But I did fine. I passed the course.
Did you work a job this year?
Yes, I worked side jobs, honestly. We'll just call them side jobs. I would watch dogs. I have countless videos of me watching dogs. I'm watching a dog literally right now. I'm watching a dog tomorrow as well. It's just like the perfect way for me to be studying but also making money at the same time, and I don't have to compromise either. I want to say my core values would be health, integrity, privacy, happiness, and yeah. I think the most impactful moment was when I was in a meeting and basically the physician said, try to remember for who today was hardest for, in terms of there's people who are going through chemo radiation, there's people who have just lost their loved one, and to always remember, you know, this day could be harder for somebody else.
What are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to starting rotations. I know it's a year from now, but a year from now I should have already taken boards. I should have already done all my onboarding to start my rotations, and I feel like that's when I actually can get a glimpse of practicing medicine and what it entails, being with patients, amongst patients. Right now we are just amongst standardized patients, and so that I think will be a different feel of what medical school is.
Have your values changed?
I definitely think so. I started the year, as I said before, just very different in the frame of mind. Like my mindset of how I was going to study, who I was going to be around, what I was going to be doing, what was going to end up taking most of my time, and also what was going to take up most of my free time. And now a lot of things have changed, but I think it changed for the better.
Do you think medicine will change you?
For sure. I feel like there's things that I have yet to encounter just based on the specialties that I'm interested in going into. I definitely think medicine will change me. I'm not sure if it will be for good or for bad, but we'll hope for the good.
In what way do you think it'll change you?
Just being around like death or sick people or circumstances that don't look like they have a North Star might be very challenging. And also in terms of not finding a balance, finding a balance between taking your work home with you. And there's just a lot of things that I've heard from other physicians who are now practicing, as well as minority physicians, and the things that they have had to go through that honestly I think might change me. In the last year, I wouldn't want to live without my family. I just feel like we're a team, us together, and I just wouldn't have wanted to do it without them.
So do you have any final thoughts or comments or anything that you'd like to say?
I think you always have to remember to give yourself grace. There's a lot of ups and downs that you will go through, not just because you're in medical school, but just in life in general. Your mental health is important. Like, you cannot show up as your best self if you are not okay. So take time for yourself. As I said before, give yourself grace and just take one day at a time.